Okay, I'm not looking too ugly. This is a response to Mayhar Tousi's outrageous live stream about me 2 days ago, because it's now Friday. I went to a protest in memory of all the victims of terrorism. So that's where I bumped into him. So I'm just going to... This is the North Sea. Le Sea du Nord. I really didn't pay much attention in French or Spanish because I had, and there, if you're there, if Donald Trump's watching, there's the pier, and there is the, there are the old wind farms. I'm sure Trump's going to want to come here. That suck. Right, so I'm very, very, very concerned. I'm extremely concerned, and I'm a Nazi hunter, and I will hunt you all day, all night. So, I've just listened to the first part of your live stream again. Start with a good point. Number one, I've got yes, free speech. Yes, we need free speech. I support your right to free speech, Mayhar. I don't think Keir Starmer does. He's trying to shut you down. I support your right to free speech. We need to unite the kingdom. Yes, we do. That's the slogan of these Tommy rallies. And yes, we need to unite the kingdom. But at 20:05 on your last live stream, you call me left wing. That's a good one. Like that one. And I've just got a couple of notes here. Your fiance bailed you out, by the way. She bailed you out. Well done. And by the way, I didn't realise that was your fiance, but I was respectful to her, and I generally don't go mouthing off at women. I didn't really want to mouth off at you, Mayhar, because I just wanted to ask a few questions. And I've got a statement to make. This country is now multicultural. Get over it. Get over it. Right? So, the words I use, and I've wrote this, was hang out. This was an off the cuff. And under the Equalities Act 2010, you have to make a reasonable adjustment here. It was a bit off the cuff. And I said the word been on platform, shared platform. I'll be specific. I've seen you on a platform with Tommy Robinson. I don't have a particular thing to call that out on at the moment, but I've seen you on a platform with someone called Nick Tanconi, and I've seen you on a platform with Bob the Builder. Now, trust me, if I was thinking I saw you on a platform with the Bob the Builder, then I'm going back in cuckoo farm. So there we go. That's my own nickname for it. That's free speech. It's probably going to get me back. You know, I don't want the police called out for this video. So you know, when you insult me for when people insult me for mental health, that is actually degrading. It's dehumanizing, and it's fascist, Bob. So, my accusation is that you're associating with anti-Semites. Well, you're really quite funny actually, because you said you claim you've only met Bob a couple of times, and then in the very next breath you call him a great guy. Well, I generally, you know, even if I'm having good vibes about someone, because I get good vibes about you, Mayhar. I think you're an intelligent person. You're one of the most intelligent YouTubers there. But there again, it does actually take great intelligence to be a communist. So, you know, don't let it go and inflate your ego, which I think is already a little bit inflated. Right, so then, you know, you've met this guy only twice and you're calling him a great guy. Well, that's good, isn't it? Right, let me tell you a few things about Bob. He glorifies something called the Crusades. Now, the Crusades as an institution were anti-Semitic. Read the history from multiple sources. I don't want to go into what the Crusades did, because if you go to the Middle East and talk to any Jew, Muslim or Christian, they will mention the Crusades. They were violent, bloody attacks on the Holy Land. They had nothing to do with defense. They had everything to do with invading a foreign country in the name of Christendom. That is complete rubbish. So Bob glorifies the Crusades. Bob also is just, his common sense is sometimes non-existent. I have called Bob a fascist to his face. He doesn't like it because the cap fits. Now, the problem is that what Bob then does when you're trying to avoid accusations of being a fascist. Number one, you don't say you would serve in General Franco's army. You know, time machine doesn't exist, Bob. You know, get out of your fantasy world. You can't go back to 1025. You can't join that crusade. And even if there was a crusade, you'd bottle out of it. Don't push. Anyway, so he then also says that, you know, he would serve in General Franco. That's like starting to make me think fascist. And then finally, he hangs round with some guy who has randomly produced the so-called Christian flag that is black. Again, if I were trying to avoid accusations of being left-wing, Maya, probably it would be a bad idea for me to run around with red flags. If you're trying to avoid accusations of being a fascist, it's probably not the best idea to actually have a black flag. So there we go. Now, I've also got down here his supporters who are all over Hyde Park then refuse to take yellow ribbons. They refuse to take the Israeli flag. So is that passive anti-Semitism? I'll just leave that to you. I've got 2031 excellent points. I'm not sure what that is. Oh yes, you mentioned wokey Jews. Well, even then you're... this is what I just had to listen back to. Even then you're treading on very, very dangerous ground, Maya, because you're getting into why I want to have this conversation. Because you mentioned wokey Jews. Maya, there are wokey people everywhere. You don't have to go very far. And usually not very far at all. Wokiness, which by the way I think it's got racist undertones, by the way. Leftism is everywhere. Just ask Nigel Farage. He is a popularist, but his latest financial plan sounds a bit socialist to me. So I've gone to 2024. It's not just Jews who are wokey. Now, I would admit to the person who wrote into you from Israel, yes, you know, there are left-wingers everywhere. Yeah? We've just elected the most socialist government we've had since 1979. Yeah, at least. At least. So, then we get on to your condescending tropes, because they are tropes. So let me just explain something to you. I did a 2-year, I'll tone down the nickname. I did a 2-year Christian leadership course called ENLI, and it wasn't in Britain, because I'm a kind of international citizen, me. And there is no such thing as a Christian nation. Now, let's go to base one. Let's ask the man himself. Because Jesus was given an illegal trial by the Sanhedrin, and he was placed before Pontius Pilate. Now, Pontius Pilate was not the most popular governor, by the way, and I'm heavily paraphrasing, by the way. You can read the story for yourself, Maya. And, you know, Jesus was presented to him, and he asked, there was a classic interaction between Pilate and Jesus. Now, Jesus said this quite clearly. I can't see how you can get this wrong. He said, my kingdom is not of this world. He said, if my kingdom were of this world, I could get the boys down. That's not what he said precisely, but he said I could send legions of angels who would come and get me. Wow. Now, when he said this to Pilate, and Pilate was used to doing the odd trial or two, because he was the ultimate person to sentence you to crucifixion, which was arguably the most painful way to die ever. You know, the Romans were pretty good at crucifixions. And for Jesus to come back with that was actually, whoa. And then it's quite clear that Pilate actually believed this guy was innocent. And he was like trying to find a way. And so Pilate chose the cowardly way out. But Jesus said quite clearly, my kingdom, up there, Maya, is not of this world. What part of that do you not understand? So, The Christian nationalists have a big problem because the only other part of the New Testament they can find is you are a holy nation, meaning that if we accept Christ's sacrifice, then we are part of his holy nation, but it's not of this world. So that's a big problem, and it's the problem why Bob won't debate me. It's the problem why Bob calls me mentally ill. Well, sorry, I was actually paying attention on my E&I course. The only thing I was really bad at was doing the assignments. I thought that was boring. But there is then the Great Commission. Go and make disciples from all the nations. It doesn't say go and make nations. So, silence, s'il vous plaît. There is no Christian nationalism. You then say, and this is where you're getting good. You're getting good. I like you, Maya. We may be able to talk. I'm not going to basically label you a fascist today. Be hanging out with them. You then say constitutionally we are Christian. That's a good one. Now, the Roman Catholic Church was basically opposed by Middle East Christians. Not all Christians like the Roman Catholic Church. And my first argument with Bob happened on day 1, not day 3 or 4. I realized there was something fishy about Bob on day 1, because Bob glorifies Constantine. Bob glorifies the emperor who later on made Christianity a state religion. Essentially, the Roman Empire hijacked Christianity, and they made it the official religion, and that's where the Roman Catholic Church comes from. So then we move on from the year 400 to the year 1500, a long gap. And when the Romans made it the official religion, the persecuted became the persecutors. And there were many Christians who left the empire. Now, Bob challenged me on that. He said that's rubbish. So I'm just leaving that for any viewer to go and research, because I kept asking a pastor who I then fell out with if I could borrow his book on the subject. But I will get the book out, A History of Christianity. So there is no such thing as a Christian nation. Let's go to 1524, I think was when Luther did his thesis. Luther challenged the Catholic Church as being unbiblical. Well, it was. I mean, there's no such thing as indulgences in the Bible. There is no purgatory, and we don't pray to Mary. They're very, very simple things. But then we get to Henry VIII. Now, Henry VIII, he was the one who started the idea of the Church of England. He made himself head of the church in England, because what he wanted to do was marry Anne Boleyn. Now, apparently Anne Boleyn was quite a looker, and he wanted a male heir, because he knew what his daughter was like. His daughter was like a fanatical Roman Catholic. So, unfortunately, Henry didn't realise that it was what was coming out of him that was causing all the female babies. And he died with a very sickly son and 2 daughters. Now, the drink Bloody Mary is named after Mary. Mary pretty much almost started a civil war. She was burning Protestants, and the smart ones left. Then we had Edward. Was it Edward? Can't remember. Irrelevant, anyway. And then we had Elizabeth I the Great. Now, the Church of England in its modern form was actually really shaped by Elizabeth. And she was brilliant. She was a brilliant politician. She had a choice. Do we have a civil war, or do we come up with a compromise? And she came up with the compromise that I made an Anglican laugh recently. I said it was a good idea at the time. And she created the Church of England. Now, in the Church of England, you can literally believe anything you like, and definitely now. I mean, who can forget the Bishop of Durham? The Bishop of Durham started to say, well, I'm not quite sure about the resurrection, and then the Windsor Castle burns down. I think maybe someone upstairs was a bit cheesed off with that kind of thing. But yes, you're quite correct. Constitutionally, we have set up the Anglican Church. But that doesn't mean to say we're a Christian nation, because it's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction in terms. Christ did not come to make kingdoms on this earth. He said the kingdom is at hand. He was talking about himself. So you're wrong, Maya. Completely wrong. So, yes, everything is linked to the state. And I think Elizabeth II was a good queen. I must have been the only Republican to go and do the whole walkie past the Queen thing. I don't even know why I did it. I was bored. I mean, the things you do when you're bored, Maya, it's just like too much. But and I didn't get on the telly. I was well pissed off at that. I queued up for at least 10 hours. But no, I thought if David Beckham can do it, then so could I. I went to pay my respect to a queen who I thought did a good job, given the confines of what she was given. And I do actually believe she was preaching the gospel at times. Go back to some of her Queen's speeches. So, I did not attack Christians. I've just attacked Bob, who is a false Christian, preaching a false gospel and preaching muscular Christianity. So all his little quislings down there, that's not right to say quisling, all his little lackeys down there are all like, you know, having round with Bob. He had this big guy with the black flag, and I had an Israeli flag because I support the right of Israel to exist as a viable state. End of. I also support the Arabs to have a viable state. The idea of colonialism, the problem is that the whole issue of the Israeli state was born in colonial times. I mean, at the end of the First World War, was a battle between two camps of colonies, and all that was left at the end of the First World War was the British, the French, and the Americans, who had to come and bail us out. So, if the Americans hadn't come in, it could have been a closer fight, but the World War I was a mass slaughter which destroyed Europe. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So I didn't attack Christians at all. You then said that people are special people. Well, I'm not a leftist, but I can get you there. The people who are leftists just think that you can't say anything, you can't sort of say this, that, or the other. Zionism was to create an Israeli state. You're right there. You're dead right. And Zionism dates back to the time when Zionists went and legally bought land in the region of Syria, Palestina. And that was what the region was called. There was never in that time any such thing as Palestinian people. You can't go to historical documents to find people calling themselves Palestinian. That's only post 1964. That is the fact. What else have I written? Oh yeah, you've got the you refer to Bob as Team Jesus. What is this, the Olympics? You know, what are they going to have, an Olympic pushing competition? Because I mean, actually, I reckon Sam Darwin would probably win that one. I don't know. It's quite funny when they start pushing each other. And I've got UKIP versus Reform. Oh yeah, the other person you've platformed with. The other person you have shared a platform with. Now, in politics, when you get on the same stage with someone, be very, very careful who you're sharing that platform with. Because we now have the smoking gun. Now, the smoking gun is a metaphor for any leftists who are watching. I don't have a gun on me. Actually, I'll just show you at the end. My phone is perched on the back seat of my bike. I just come out for a cycle. I just needed a break, basically. So I'm by the beach. So you have shared a platform with Nick Tanconi. Now, at 2:39 on the video, I'll put the link along with the video. He is seen to say words to the effect of, "We cannot have a Jew, Hindu, or Muslim in charge." Oh dear. That's fascism. That is clear-cut ethno-nationalism. More than cultural, this is ethno. Now, he will then go back and say, "Oh, we can have a Christian." I mean, obviously, the thing is, I'll correct myself, I'm not going to re-record. He's saying that we can't have a Jew, a Hindu, or a Muslim in charge. Oh dear, you just said something racist there. You've just said something racist, because you do get Messianic Jews, but they are Jews. You are born a Jew. You are born an Arab. You are born a Maharashtrian. And I think that's something completely out of order. Now, Nick Tanconi is an extreme Roman Catholic. So, I think you're hanging out with anti-Semites. I mean, let's go to the man of the moment, Tommy. Well, he's just screwed over Keir Starmer. I mean, he's absolutely made Keir Starmer look like a muppet. He has won game, set and match because, as he correctly points out, that video had only 200,000 views. It's now got, 1.5 million? 7 months in Charlie and the Horses cafe. Yeah, Charles and Camilla's cafe, sorry. I certainly wasn't replacing Camilla with a horse, no. Definitely not. Sorry, I was just thinking about a pub. Yeah, anyway. So in Cam and Chaz's guest house, which doesn't sound too good, by the way. I mean, I really wouldn't want to be in Woodhill Prison. He has now essentially created a huge problem for Keir Starmer. He's like to supply him into free speech. He's into about as free speech as I am into being quiet for 2 minutes. No, sorry, I can't do it. So basically, Keir Starmer is a total complete. There's a load of kids coming, so I'm going to pause over. So yeah, he's just completely done over one on Keir Starmer. When Tommy Robinson, I mean, like, is it Wendell? He, goes out saying, "Oh, waiting for Tommy Robinson to come out." And Wendell's the one saying, "I'm neutral." Yeah, you're neutral, Wendell. I mean, you were practically drooling when Tommy came out. Now, I'm actually a bit disappointed when I saw Tommy in dressed with the beard. I was like, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna join a Beatles tribute band? Is he gonna start playing guitar and swinging and singing "My Sweet Lord"? But the real thing that worries me is he's swinging his rosary around. Oh dear. Now, I'm not against individual Roman Catholics, but I do not believe in the papacy, and I believe that this is the subtle way of putting it. I think the Roman Catholic Church has a long way to go and should disestablish. The ironic thing is even Bob seems to think that the Church of England needs to disestablish. So ironically, Bob, who is sort of my frenemy down at the park, I mean, I don't know him at all, he doesn't talk to anybody, he's very aloof, he's very arrogant, and he is saying himself in one of his Lenten talks that it may be best if the Church of England was disestablished. And there's a lot of people, including one of the Anglican churches I visited today, where I believe they are one of the people who are talking about disestablishment, because having a state church is completely anti-Christ, like anti what Christ would do, because Christ gave people an individual decision. It's not a matter for the state, it's an individual decision. So, Maya, you are hanging, in my opinion, with anti-Semites. End of story. If you are going to the pub, if you are sharing a platform, and you are treading on some very, very, very dangerous ground. Now, I would like to have a chat with you. If you're going to talk about me behind my back in front of your channel and your 800,000 viewers or whatever you've got, yeah, then you would at least do me the dignity of a conversation, because I'm not a lefty. I was. But the thing is, I got a sort of one of the reasons I like about you, Maya, is that you've got personal experience going, is that your mum grew up in Iran. She probably remembers the revolution. Judging by your age, I don't think you were alive then. That's just a guess. I can vaguely remember it. I can suddenly remember that there were just these, the women in black and Ataya Khomeini coming and stuff like that. But I got birthed in politics very young age, because I can remember my brother, who's a total prick, by the way. He was cheering on Maggie in the 79 election while I was at football. Well, I wasn't football. I was at school playing. We had a kick around in primary school. Labour versus Conservatives. It was basically what it was about. But then at home, there was my brother cheering on Maggie. But then after one term, he comes back commie boy. So this is why I know so much. So the little prick comes back with the Communist Manifesto, he comes back with Das Kapital, and he has basically got his head completely on this crap. Because when I went to Leeds, A, I went to the football club, and B, I started to see through some of the leftism that was going on there. It was just like pure indoctrination, because the indoctrination you get at university is first class. It's absolutely first class. But the thing is, I actually think you've got leftist tendencies, Maya. Not leftist as in your social beliefs, but leftist in terms of your economics. You see, the thing is, left and right refer primarily in politics to your economic philosophy. I believe that Farage's latest attempt is just a pledge to buy the electorate. And I'll finish here. Were you involved in signing this pledge? Again, referring to Britain as a Christian nation. We are not a Christian nation. We are a multicultural nation. We are now a nation where loads more people have come. And this country is the country of the original Celtic people. This country is the country of the Angles, Saxons and Jutes. This country is the country of the Vikings. This country is the country of the Norman Vikings, because they were Vikings. And this country is now the country of Jamaicans, Trinidadians, Africans, Nigerians, Filipinos, Afghanis, Syrians, etc. What are you going to do? Are you going to say they've all got to go home, which is what Tenconi is doing? He is a fascist. What we need to do is to find ways of coming together and talking openly and honestly. And I gave you a free idea, which I think has gone into your arrogant ear this way and gone out. And don't mention it on camera unless you are completely stupid, which I don't think you are. So I'm not a lefty. In fact, I am the complete opposite. I am also not pro-British in some ways. I am, like I say, if I had to choose between, I'll do this on another video because it's been half an hour. If I had to choose between Britain and India, it would be India every time. I won't swear on camera. Every single time I would choose India. India. I would choose to live in Mumbai over London. I would choose to live in Bangalore over Mumbai. And I support the Chennai Super Kings. And anyone who plays the Mumbai Indians, by the way. So it's just, don't tell anyone in Mumbai. But I'm a CSK man. I mean, there's absolutely no logic for that whatsoever, other than Dhoni. I love Dhoni. Dhoni is one of my sort of he came from very humble origins. I've seen the film. If the film is anything like his person, he sounds like the nicest guy going, and that's why the CSK fans just love Dhoni. I love Dhoni. He's a great, great cricketer, and I love my cricket, and I love my IPL, and the CSK will rise again. And good luck to the Bangalore to win, because obviously the CSK are out. But anyway, I would rather be in India right now. I would rather be anywhere else rather than here, because this country has gone down some very, very bad paths. Number one is leftism, but number two is there is post-colonialism going on here. We ain't in charge anymore. The people of this country do not go round running round in boats, and that could be something for another video. We need to get over the fact that we are multicultural. We need to get over the fact that we have large numbers of, nominal and actual Christians here. We have large numbers of Jews here. We have large numbers of Hindus here. We have large numbers of Sikhs here. And we also have large numbers of Muslims here, many of whom do not want Sharia law if they were asked honestly. So it's time to come together. It's time to have conversations. But just labelling me something is something which your fascist friends do. Now, okay, I've used the word friend. I don't know whether you are friends with Bob or Tanconi, but you're sure hanging out with them a lot. So I have questions for you, Maya. You ran away a little bit. You hid behind your fiance. I'm not as rude to women as I am to men. I mean, I'm just rude, man. And if you don't answer my questions, I'm going to go even further because I hunt National Socialists. Nick Tanconi is a National Socialist. He is a Nazi. He is a fascist. Bob is not far behind, and there are others around it. The so-called far right need to have a good, hard look at how they are organising themselves, and the so-called far right need to find a way of working with other people who can see issues with multiculturalism. Whenever you have multiculturalism, it will either work out well or it will not work out well. The dream of India is in the flag I was carrying. The flag I was carrying, and I pointed this out, the orange of the Hindu, the green of the Muslim, and the white for everybody else. So, I was not saying anything pro-Modi, I wasn't saying anything anti-Modi. What I did, as a respectful foreigner, was that the democratically elected government of India and how they elect it is none of my business. Anyway, have a great afternoon, Maya. And if you want to get back to me, okay, I'm going to use a bit of sort of dramatic headlines to do this, but you really, 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 really need to give me an opportunity to sit down and discuss with you. Good afternoon.